Hey, what's up, everybody? So I have been very reluctant to make this video just because I couldn't figure out what am I going to cover, because there's so many things to cover. I'm sure you understand from the title of my video, or probably guess what I could possibly talk about. But I just feel like as a black guy who has experienced some things and have seen some things, plenty of things, um, it would be almost shooting myself in the foot not to address it, not to just get someone's wheels turning, to not get a conversation started. It would just be madness at this point. Also, I'm looking really rough. It is what it is, though. I promise you, this whole video isn't going to be completely doom and gloom, but there's some things I got to talk about. And that is one, police brutality, two, the rioting, and three, protests that I've been in. So the first thing, police brutality. Um, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible just because obviously I'm not trying to do a 30-minute video. I can do literally hours and hours worth of whatever for this. Now, the issue with police brutality is it's murder. It's plain and simple, it's murder. There is no, in every scenario, in every situation, you can look up all the facts that you want to. At the end of the day, in each situation, there was never a situation where someone had to die. Period. When I was in the military and as I was doing my defense augmentee training, we had to learn when we could use lethal force and when we couldn't. We had to learn how to detain people. The videos that they used to help train us were videos of police officers who hesitated. These are the exact same videos that they'll show police officers as well. Now, the police officers who hesitate to take any action wind up getting seriously injured and or killed. And we had to see those graphic videos. In almost every scenario, the assailant was a white male, whether he was old or young, either way, they just almost refused to use lethal force. Now, that right there was already just like really eye-opening for me because I saw how in a lot of these videos that are recent, lethal force was definitely used when the situation was actually completely in control and nowhere near as lethal as these situations were. In some of those videos, I saw the assailant had a knife, the assailant had his own gun, the assailant grabbed the gun of the police officer and managed to like get it loose and managed to rack it and get ready to fire. And it was preposterous how this was even happening. When unarmed black people will get gunned down in seconds or, choked out easily with like groups upon groups of police officers crowding around. In each scenario for the recent events, there was no reason anyone had to die. And yes, using a gun does not have to guarantee death. And I will say that again. A gun does not have to equal lethal force. It could be force, but it doesn't have to be lethal. But anyways, so during my defense augmentee training, I was put in these scenarios where basically we had to load our gun and get ready to fire in situations that we deemed lethal. Now, the issue is anytime where we did pull the trigger and shoot any of the targets, we had to be able to justify it. Fearing for our life was not justifiable. Assuming that they were going to pull something out was not justifiable. We had to be able to visually verify that this person has a weapon. We had to be able to say that this person was going to jeopardize the life of someone else with lethal force. We had to meet lethal force with lethal force. During the detaining training, we were told that, using our gun to point it was only a warning. Racking it was a warning. Doing a warning shot before everything, basically before we can ever shoot. And what we were told was the training that we went through was the same training as what the police get. That's the part that disturbs me the most. A lot of these deaths, actually all of these deaths, are actually quite illegal. Now, granted, I will say this. I'm not going to sit here and say all police are racist, all police are corrupt. They're not. There's been plenty of police that have done the right thing. I've seen police literally, you know, really risk it to make sure that someone's safe. But the alarming rate of black people being killed by police officers is just very disgusting and astonishing. And it's scary. Racial profiling is a thing, and it is very dangerous, and it's an extremely dangerous thing for any minority, essentially. Even if you have all your ducks in a row, you just never know which officer is going to be that guy that day. So with that being said, please take the time to educate yourselves on things and be very open-minded. Please listen to your minority brother and sisters who have had experiences, and listen to them and hear the things and discern. There's plenty of books, there's plenty of documentaries that you should watch. There's just so much information out there to educate yourself on this matter and understand why this is so wrong. Understand that the police have stood on both sides of history, unfortunately. Even though we've seen them stand for the law and morality, they've also stood on the side of the law and morality that's deemed wrong today. Police were enforcers for slaves. We agreed that slavery was wrong. Police have stood on the side of segregation. We agreed that segregation is wrong. We agreed that Jim Crow laws were wrong. If you don't know about Black Wall Street, please look that up. Please look that up. But that was definitely, clearly wrong. The war on drugs, absolutely wrong and messed up. So with that being said, please look up this information. Now, when it comes to a lot of the protests and riots, every protest that I've ever been a part of has been completely peaceful. And for the most part, from what I've been reported by from all my friends who've been a part of protests around the United States, all of those have been peaceful demonstrations until you have some random person who just wants to start something or is not satisfied with the protest being peaceful, and they feel like something has to be done. Now, granted, you've got to keep this in mind. Everybody's upset. Everyone's angry at this point. Being peaceful is actually a challenge. It's like trying to talk to your bully peacefully and calmly after years of being beat up or years of being just picked on and hazed for a very long time. Even if you're a bystander who just watched it, there's going to be part of you, if you have any sense of compassion or empathy, that's going to say, I want to punch this guy in the mouth, but I won't. But you want to. You know what I mean? So when you have someone that's ready to start the fire, essentially, that's all it takes. It takes one person to throw the chair, and then everyone loses their mind because it's already pent up and it's already there. Do I believe in riots? Not all riots, but strategic riots. And the reason why I say that is because historically, strategic riots is what we did as political statements. Look at the Boston Tea Party. That was a strategic riot. So obviously, it's going to happen. It has to happen in certain situations and scenarios. Now, aside from all of that, there's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of rage. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of fear. And this is my message to all of that. So during my time of doing all these protests, like I said before, there was so much anger. There was so much sadness, disparity. But this time it was different. It wasn't just people that looked like me that were angry. It wasn't just people that looked like me that were upset and sad and discouraged and despairing. It was a lot of us. It was all of us. It was people in my city, people that didn't look like me, people I didn't even think would care. So many walks of life coming together to say that life is precious, to come together and say that right now, the only way all lives matter is if our black friends, family, loves, if black lives mattered. That's the only way you could say all lives matter and it be true. So during my time of doing all this protests and seeing all this negative emotion, I saw negative emotion, yeah, but it was in unity. And then I realized that that negative emotion wasn't as negative as it seems on the surface. I was looking at the harmony of compassion and the harmony of empathy, and so many people willing to just stand out there and say, I am listening. So many people willing to stand up. So many people willing to march for those who have been hurt, to march for those that are scared, to march for those that are sad. So many people willing to just stand up and do what's right. Do I feel like this is going to last forever? I don't think so. But I also don't think that people are going to forget. The reason why I feel like people aren't going to allow this to last forever is because I believe that this is the generation. We're going to see it in this lifetime. The erasure of a system that hurts us. When we see what happens when we're not compassionate, and we see the effects of how if we let one thing slide for one people, it's going to eventually happen to all of us. We're starting to see people that actually legitimately love one another. So I hate that all of this is happening, but something beautiful is sprouting from these fires, from these flames, from these ashes. There is hope, and we're gonna get through this together. You'll see.